All right, y'all. We got our weekly alien talk going here. Look, man, I want to hear this story out, y'all. So it says Harvard professor believes he may have found alien technology. I don't know. I'm keeping my mind open, y'all. I'm keeping my space watch. Oh,
I've tried to answer
please.
for a long time, and we may be a step closer to
Y'all
answering
can't hear
that question.
Why is it so? Oh God. Hold on. YouTube videos be quiet as hell. But nah, this professor thinks he found alien technology.
A team of Harvard researchers believe they have discovered fragments of alien technology. The pieces were from a meteor that landed in the ocean near Papua New Guinea back in 2014. But the team has a lot more debris to sort through in their research. Professor Avi Loeb,
come on, chat. Tell me that don't look like something from another planet.
Team of researchers,
I don't even know what it is.
Joins me
Just
now
saying.
for more. Professor, thank you so much for joining us. Let's start with what you found. What can you tell us about these spheres that you've recovered from the ocean floor?
I want to see a video of it. I don't want to see a picture.
Thanks for having me. These are metallic marbles that we identified through a microscope. So that's a new way of doing astronomy. Instead of looking for what's outside the solar system using telescopes, we were using microscopes. And we collected magnetic material.
Wait, it says the fragments came from a meteor that crashed near Papua New Guinea in 2014. Okay.
From the ocean floor that is 2 kilometers deep. And
he's an astrophysicist, so he knows what he's talking about, Chad. If people don't believe a guy like this, I don't know who y'all gonna believe about aliens. Like, what is the idea that, like, it's not possible that there's aliens or like non-human beings from other planets? Like, at a certain point, it begins to be human arrogance, in my opinion, to really believe we're the only ones out here. Like, what's so special about us? Bessie said, my thing is ... What's your thing, girl?
First, we put it...
Did they really just now find this? No, they didn't. They found it in 2014. Or is it safe to say it now? Maybe it's more safe to say it now. Maybe the public perception is turning. You know, I don't know. But, you know, it's a poppin' news story. So, you know, they're going to find all the people that been talking about this type of stuff for years that they ignored. But now maybe they're just bringing more of them to light, because the people have been saying this stuff, but they just kind of got shunned by the public. So maybe now it's more acceptable to bring these people onto regular news shows. You know what I'm saying? Because like before it was more like taboo, or like, oh, we don't want to talk about that type of thing. You know, we don't even want to acknowledge any of it. But now it's kind of like, you know, we had that interview the other week with the Air Force guy that was talking about his experience with like UFOs and stuff. So maybe that's why, at least partially.
In vials, as you see here. I just received some of the material by FedEx a few hours ago. And then we filtered out the tiny particles that are volcanic ash, and we were left with particles that are 0.5 millimeter in size. We look at them through the microscope, and we saw that they are spherical. These are called spherules, which are the melted droplets from the surface of the object, which...
Whoa, okay, chat. Now, this is interesting. So he's saying these are melted droplets from the thing. That kind of makes sense, too, because if something crashed, you know, it's probably going to be really hot. And maybe so hot to where it's dripping. Now, this is interesting, y'all. I got to see this again.
The melted droplets from the surface of the object, which moved too fast to be bound to the sun. It came from interstellar space. It's the first time that humans put their hands on material from a large object that entered the solar system from outside.
So this is outside of the solar system.
Two sets of questions.
How are y'all explaining this, chat? Please, we need the alternative perspective from the anti-alien and UFO extraterrestrial people. What would they say to this?
Let's stick first with the little marble objects.
They're gonna be like, oh, it could come from, I don't know how you could explain this aside from what he just said, but I know there's gonna be somebody like, oh, that's not real. Oh no, you know what? They're gonna be like, oh, it's a psyop. It's a psychological operation. They're trying to trick us and distract us. I think we're distracted enough on a daily basis to where they don't have to pull off an alien stunt to distract us. Personally, that's just me. I think we're brainwashed enough from news and media to where they don't need to throw no alien mumbo jumbo to distract us. But that's just me though. I could be wrong.
How do we know those mean anything more than just some combination of things that melted while I was zooming through space?
Valid question.
Why is it possibly technology?
It's a good question.
Based on the US government data, we infer that the material strength of this meteorite was higher than all space rocks cataloged by NASA over the past decade, even iron meteorites. And the question is, what was it made of? And perhaps it formed in some natural environment that is different from a planetary system like the solar system, but perhaps also it is technological in origin. A spacecraft like Voyager, imagine Voyager 1 billion years from now, going to interstellar space and colliding with a planet and burning up in the atmosphere of the planet as a meteor. That's a possibility. This object was moving faster than 95% of all stars in the vicinity of the sun.
Yo, that's a crazy statement. He said whatever the object was moving faster than 95% of the stars around the sun. That is crazy. Y'all can't say that's not something like from a different solar system or something. Like, how else do you explain that shit? That doesn't even... There's no way that that's anything other than like something else. I don't know what to tell y'all. Like, the people who have been denying aliens and technology and all that, your time has come. Okay? Now we're looking at the hard facts and people are coming out and talking about it, bro. It's time for y'all to accept that we're not the only people in the solar system. Or we might be the only people in the solar system right now, but we're not the only people in the whole entire vastness of space. Isn't that crazy? Do y'all ever just like sit and think sometimes and be like, yo, we're really on a floating rock? We're really just floating out here, rotating on the axis, going around the sun. Like, that don't ever, like, y'all don't ever think about that? Just be like, wow, like, there's really other planets. Like, I don't know, y'all. But look, this shit right here, it confirms what I think. The government has been experimenting and reverse engineering alien technology for decades, if not centuries. I'm telling you. Bessie said yes. Today I'm like, wow, somebody really designed our bodies, right? Like, wild.
And so we decided to go out and check any leftovers from that meteor explosion, and we found it. So now we're planning to analyze it at Harvard University and figure out what it was made of.
And now the other question, which is, we don't exactly get things arriving from other solar systems that often, right? Help us understand how big a deal it is, and is that why it's called Interstellar Meteor 1? Because there isn't one before it.
Right.
That we know
this
of.
Is the first one identified by US government sensors, mostly satellites, and we didn't discover any such object before. It was more than 1/2 meter in size and released a few percent of the energy output of the Hiroshima atomic bomb when it exploded.
Wait, hold on. We gotta run that back. He just said something important. I'm trying to figure out like where this is, but he said something important though. Hold on, let's see what this is. Oh, so this is by the... Wow, I never knew this is where that country was. So this is by India, Indonesia, Philippines, Australia. Okay. Yo! Chat, how did I not realize Indonesia and Australia were that close? Did y'all know Indonesia and Australia were that close to each other? Because I didn't. I thought Australia was like way like at the bottom, like how Antarctica is kind of like separate from everything. Have y'all heard about the theories about Antarctica, chat? Because I scrolled on TikTok and you look, if y'all be on TikTok, y'all know how many conspiracy theories it is, y'all. Okay, I did go down the rabbit hole and they were talking about something like there's a shelf and then it slowly devolved into like flat earth / earth dome theory. I don't know how we got there from just talking about Antarctica, but y'all know how those TikTok rabbit holes be.
20 kilometers above the Pacific Ocean. and we were able
hold on. No, he said something important. I gotta go back.
any such object before. It was more than half a meter in size and released a few percent of the energy output of the Hiroshima atomic bomb.
Okay, so he's saying the size of it was at least half a meter, and the amount of energy it released when it hit was a percentage of the equivalent of how much energy was released when the United States dropped an atomic bomb on Japan. Okay, so he's saying, okay, let's use the atomic bomb for reference, because the way he said it's kind of tricky. Atomic bomb that the United States dropped on Japan, right? He's saying that this meteor thing that crashed into this planet is literally, it gave off similar energy to that, but like in a smaller size, basically. So he's basically trying to emphasize how powerful the hit was. And that's crazy to think. Like, that's not a regular smegular meteor, chat, especially for something that's half a meter. That's not normal, basically.
Bomb, when it exploded, 20% of the energy
Wait,
output,
did you say 20%?
half a meter in size, and released a few percent of the energy
he said
output
a few.
of the Hiroshima atomic bomb when it exploded 20 kilometers above the Pacific Ocean. And we were able to localize the path of the meteor. We found these spherules, droplets that were melted off its surface where we expected they were concentrated.
Okay, bestie, see, look, because you were asking about that they just now find out that this last line tells me that they just now recently acknowledged that it's not from our stellar system or our solar system, because it says Space Command confirmed interstellar origin in April 2022. So maybe they knew, like the people who worked on it knew, but the public didn't know, and it wasn't confirmed that it came from somewhere else until recently.
In that region.
So think about it, chat. This happened in 2014, and y'all don't think the government is reverse engineering alien or UFO parts to like make more weapons? Yeah, you gotta be fucking kidding me. They're definitely doing that. And I think there's even like Soviet Union documents talking about like certain stuff that their government did with reverse engineering UFO stuff to make like weapons and vehicles and aircraft. And it makes sense, like when you look at how much humanity progressed within the past, like let's just say like 120 years, right? I'm not saying that it's all from UFOs and extraterrestrial and interstellar technology, but I am saying that I don't think it's crazy to believe that governments who are always trying to stay in front in terms of military power, like technology, all that, why are we ruling it out that if they did find something, they're not going to tell us because they don't want their enemies to know, and they want to get an edge technology wise? It makes sense, y'all. Like, I'm gonna need people to stop putting stuff past the government. Like, please, like let's just stop acting like they're so noble and like, you know, like it's in their benefit for us to not know certain stuff, and it's in their benefit for their opposition to not know what they have going on. So why would they tell us directly? Just saying.
Surface where we expected they were concentrated in that region, and the hope is that we can infer whether it was artificial in origin, because just imagine semiconductors being melted. The droplets will include a much higher abundance of rare elements that are not found in such concentrations in nature.
Professor Avi Loeb, fascinating. Good luck with your research from Harvard University. Thank you, Professor.
Okay, but why I feel like whenever like people like this get interviewed, I get it. The interviewers don't have the same skill level as like an expert like this, but I wish we could get more insight. Like, these interviews be so surface level. Like, to me, this is not a conversation that needs to be had in 4 minutes. This is why podcasts like the Joe Rogan Experience or the Joe Rogan Pod, this is why stuff like his is so interesting, because he will sit there and have like a 2 or 3 hour conversation with someone that's an expert as a layman, so to speak, and talking to them in a way that us normal people would talk to someone, right? Like, he's not an expert, so he's not going to ask expert questions, but he does give them the space to like share their knowledge with us on a level that we just don't get from TV like this. But I want to read some of the comments before we're done. Make sure if you guys are watching on YouTube, you guys drop a follow to the Twitch and the Kick channel to pull up to the live streams, and we can talk about more conspiracy theories. This is not a conspiracy, let's be clear. This is not a conspiracy at this point. Like, it's just a fact. Oh my god, why is it always people in the comments trying to cope and explain the technology and the shit? Like, look at this guy, y'all. He's like, oh, these metal balls are not traditionally natural as they contain no nickel. Nickel is found in every natural alloy in our solar system. However, the possibility that these tiny spheres were man-made from right here on Earth is entirely likely. Now let's stop right there. What gives people like the conviction to say this stuff with their whole chest? Like, oh my god, yeah, the possibility that it's from Earth is entirely likely. You're literally arguing with the Harvard professor that worked on this shit. Like, what goes through people's brains where they're like, they hear somebody that spends hours and years and years and years doing research, and they're like, yeah, I know you're saying this is not possibly from Earth or our solar system, but I'm gonna need you to pump the brakes because I think it actually is likely that it's man-made. Even though it came from a literal crash site, mind you, it literally came from a crash site from something that crashed into our planet from somewhere else. But this guy, for whatever reason, thinks, yeah, man, it's probably man-made. I mean, there's no way it could be from... Like, people like this really annoy me because it's like you're literally arguing with the expert. And I'm not saying that you can't question experts, but I'm just saying you're making an unsubstantiated claim versus somebody who actually did the work. Like, do people not understand how silly that is? Like, I don't know. From spherical metal to alien tech is an awfully big leap. Okay. Okay. They're easily baked. They're easy baked facts. That's our shit. They're easy bakes. Given how cynical and skeptical our society has become, it seems premature in the extreme to go public with something so tenuous when the cost to personal, professional, organizational reputation is so self-evidently huge. All this does is help further erode public confidence in academia. Harvard needs to teach a course in circumspection and restraint to Harvard professor. People are so fucking bold on the internet. This person is first of all, they're trying to sound smart as hell using all these words that are unnecessary. Rule number one of being an effective communicator is getting your point across the most simple way possible. And it's funny because like this guy thinks because he used circumspection, you know, he's like smart as hell, but he really sounds dumb as fuck. What do you mean, like a Harvard professor going on a literal news interview? How is that eroding public trust? Because you don't believe it? Like, really? I mean, these comments are something, chat. So the Harvard professor needs to show restraint and not talk about his research because it's hard for you to believe. All right, SF key pay. All right. This dude is just another guy trying to get rich off of sensationalizing a subject. How is he gonna get rich off of this? Like, the theories are crazy. I'm not gonna lie, like, this is nuts. How? How do you know if someone you just met went to Harvard? How will tell you very shortly after entry. Oh, okay. He's trying to be funny. Interesting. Brilliant. I love this stuff. It looks like the typical wielding spatter that was quenched when it hit water. This would explain its hardness. Today I was wielding in my shop over a puddle of water that had collected in a dip on the concrete floor, and I noticed these exact same tiny spherical droplets of iron at the bottom of the puddle. It was probably extraterrestrial. Ivy League schools produce guys like A.V. Loeb in Stockton, Russia. All right. So, like, here's my thing with people think they're, like, super smart. Like, I think this is an example of the what is it called? Dunning-Kruger effect. You know, y'all let me know what the actual phrase for it is. But this reminds me of the Dunning-Kruger effect, where the person that thinks they're smart is really dumb, and the person that doesn't think they're smart is actually really smart. Like, this type of thing going on right now. This guy's talking about being in his weak-ass metal shop or wood shop and sawing stuff, and then the iron, when it's hot, turning into little spheres in the water. My nigga, it's literally no iron in the spheres that the guy's talking about. That's the whole point. Like, literally, the whole point that the guy is making is that the little materials from outer space has no characteristics from things in our solar system, especially not in those concentrates. So your little iron that's little spilling into the water and turning into little balls is not the same. And he really thought he ate. Oh, I guess that's extraterrestrial too. Dumbass niggas.